Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Larco part number 233804. This is an ultra small receiver is what it is. And in the box is the receiver. Here it is, a little bit of an antenna here. You have your LED indicator. You have your learn button. Obviously the receiver, and you're going to have a whole mess of wires happening here. Okay, we're going to talk about what all of these wires are. There may be 8, 2, 4, 6, 7 wires, and just some quick dimensional properties of the item. Overall width of the body itself of the box, 2 1/4 by 1 1/4 by about 3/4 inch. Included also are installation instructions and simple and straightforward installation instructions. They are indeed. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at those installation instructions. Okay, so the receiver we have, as we can see here, not too much to see here. 433 megahertz, that's super important, however. It's used generally on automatic doors, but can be used on lots of items. The link below this video to the installation instructions are here. They serve as the installation instructions for the transmitter as well. The two items go together. Obviously, you need one with the other. You wouldn't use one without the other, unless you're replacing a transmitter or adding one to an existing receiver. So let's go over it now. So it's important to know that this is a 433.92. It's 433 megahertz, which is very typical and common for a frequency for this type of hardware. Employs code hopping technology to reduce false activations. The receiver only operates after learning a transmitter signal through the simple procedure outlined on the next page. It is truly simple. This programming procedure eliminates the need to set dip switches. There are transmitters and receivers that they have dip switches on them, and while that's not a chore necessarily to set dip switches, this is indeed a step easier in the sense that you just have to open the receiver, work with your transmitter once, twice. The receiver learns the code, and that's it, or the frequency in the code. Involved a simple press of the programming button located on the top cover. So the programming procedure gets rid of the need to set dip switches, and all you do is to press the programming button there. Read this document in its entirety. Sure, that's handy. Read the installation instructions. That is a behavior that we encourage. The installation, and by the way, the part number for the transmitter is 234475. This client indeed bought one of each. So, installation. Mount the receiver in a location so that the antenna is not surrounded by metal. Metal attenuates RF signals, causing a reduction in range and inconsistency of signal reception. Door motors and controls will also cause radio frequency interference, or can. Locate the receiver away from the door control's motor and power supply. If the receiver is mounted in a metal enclosure, drill a hole in the enclosure thread as much as the antenna, and thread through as much of the antenna as possible to get that out in the open. This reduces the effects of metal enclosure in terms of what that enclosure will have on the receiver's reception. If you've ever walked by an overhead operator, you may never noticed it, but I've noticed a small white wire hanging out that just seemed out of place. Well, that's the antenna. The receiver comes equipped with a wiring harness for easy installation. Diagram 2 here has our wiring, is the wiring diagram. Indeed, 7 wires. So let's jump into it. Red and black, typical for power. That's 2 of the 7. Red, black. However, if you're going to run this under 12 volt, you're going to use black and purple. So red is for 24 volt, purple is for 12 volt. That's going to be 3 of the wires. So red, black, or purple, the 3 right in the center are power. Orange is your normally open, and yellow is normally closed. That's great. Your brown is your common. Along with your brown and white stripe. So you've got a common here for your normally open. You've got a common here for your normally closed. I don't know if it can do two things. I don't know if you can activate something that is normally open and something that's normally closed. I'd have to think about what that application would be. Transmitter is going to power, normally open is going to power your operator, but first you might want to have a normally closed electric lock. You're going to first unlock and then run your operator. That would be a way in which you might just use that. That would be a fail-safe sort of application. When the power is cut to the lock, it would be unlocked. Okay, so moving to the programming procedures, you do, of course, need both items to do this. So prior to programming, you want to make sure that the LED flashes red. That means it's active, it's in standby mode, it's ready to receive. If you don't have a flashing red, disconnect the battery, maybe check the battery and reconnect the power on your, obviously on your transmitter is what you're looking for on that. Now, the receiver can take up to 112 transmitters, and these are the steps necessary to pair a transmitter with a receiver. Press and release the receiver's programming button. The LED should change from flashing red to solid green. Okay, forgive me, this is on the receiver, not on the transmitter. So you're going to start out with a flashing red. Depressing the programming button will give you a solid green. That means that you are in pairing mode, or that you are ready to receive. Okay, you're in open mode. Activate and release the transmitter one time. Depress it, activate it once. Make sure that the receiver's LED goes to solid red. That indicates that you are in the process of pairing. Wait a few seconds, as they say here in step C. Then hit the transmitter a second time. Your LED is now going to flash green several times. And when the procedure is concluded, you're going to go back to a flashing red. You start out flashing red to a solid green to a solid red. When you hit it a second time, you're flashing green back to a flashing red. So what's happening there is you're obviously just pairing the two together. So what's important, though, wait a few seconds and then activate the transmitter a second time. So open the receiver, depress the activator, wait a little bit of time, a few seconds, hit the transmitter again, and then you're paired. It should be that simple. If you want to follow the lights along, it's at the end of each sentence here. However, the few seconds are important, because you can have the output stay active for a particular amount of time. Here's how you would do that. The outputs are going to stay active for approximately 1.5 seconds. That's the default. Program the receiver's output activation time. When the receiver is activated, its output will stay in the minimum activation state for approximately 1.5 seconds. This time can be adjusted for up to 4 hours. Follow these steps. Press and hold the receiver's programming button for 6 seconds and then release. This is where you're looking at your watch. 6 seconds and then release. The LED will go from flashing red to solid red. This means that you are in pairing mode or programming mode, pairing them up. Okay. Activate and release the transmitter. Just press your transmitter. Then you wait, and this is where you're looking at your watch. Whatever amount of time you wait is going to then be the set amount of time, up to 4 hours, that your relays will stay active. So receiver button for 6 seconds, then release. Okay. You should have a solid red. Activate and release the transmitter. Just press it. Then wait. Look at your watch. How long do you want? 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever it is. At that time, when that time is elapsed, hit the transmitter again. You're going to go from solid red to flashing green several times. That indicates the end of the procedure. And when the procedure has ended, you should be back to flashing red. That's it. So pretty simple. What's important about all of this to know on your equipment is right here, 2 amps. So this can handle 2 amps. What are you going to power through this? Well, lots of things, most things. The only things that you're not going to power are going to exceed the amperage rating of the hardware. Electric latch retraction on some exit devices will absolutely exceed that, so you're not going to fire that with this, but automatic operators, electric strikes, things of that nature will certainly work for this. A typical scenario that you're going to see a time delay on a switch, whether it be a keypad or an activation plate that has a wireless functionality, is you walk up to a pair of doors. You're in a condo building and you walk up to a pair of doors and it's the fitness center, but you need a card to get in and only owners have the card or the PIN number. And when you activate that, the electric latches will retract and you can pull one or both of the doors open. However, what they have going on here is they have exit devices with electric latch retraction, but they also have, well, this opening that I actually saw not too long ago also had a magnetic lock. But when you enter, you want to hold those latches retracted or that magnetic lock unlocked for a certain period of time. 30 seconds, 60 seconds, to make sure that the door gets closed behind you. Now, that works really great. On the inside of the opening, there's also a sensor that does 2 things. It will keep the circuit closed. It'll keep the output active until you get out of the opening, and the sensor then falls off. That sensor also will detect you exiting and allow you to drop the power out to the magnetic lock and then also hit the exit device to leave. So that time delay can work really well, and the reason the time delay applies in this application is when that door closes, you don't want power going to the magnetic lock so that the door clanks shut. When the armature and the magnetic lock come close together, it will clank closed, leaving that unenergized until the door's in the closed position. That's a good thing. You don't want to hear that sound. So that works out really well in that regard. So 2 amps is the bottom line. It can go at either 24 or 12 volts, AC or DC. 2 relay outputs. One's normally open and the other's normally closed. So it does have... That's why it has 2 commons, because it has 2 relay outputs. And, operating them simultaneously, sure, just don't exceed 2 amps. Battery life, 60,000 cycles. You might want to just do some simple math or set it on a calendar reminder to change proactively the battery every so many weeks, months, whatever it is. There is nothing in here that I saw that tells us when the battery needs to be replaced. Not that you're going to see the receiver ever. If there was a flashing blue light to tell you to replace the battery, I don't see where that comes into play. This is how you wipe all of the transmitters from the memory. The receiver's memory can be cleared of all previously learned transmitters. Deleting previously learned transmitters does not change the receiver's output activation time. Press and hold receiver's button for more than 8 seconds. until the receiver's LED starts flashing green. Release the programming button. The LED should now be flashing red. The receiver's memory is now cleared. To learn new transmitters, obviously go up to here. Now, below this video is a link here to the manufacturer's page, and from there you can view not only all of the Larco products we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website. There is no catalog that's listed here because the manufacturer's site, I can't seem to locate one. But if one does appear to us, we are certainly going to add that to that page. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Okay, very simple, straightforward piece of equipment, very typical and common. Where you're going to see automatic, where you see automatic doors, you're very likely going to see receivers and transmitters. The transmitter will connect to a micro switch, which is physically connected behind an activation plate. The transmitter to the back of the micro switch has two flag connectors. It goes to either a normally open, normally closed, and the common. Power supply, a 9-volt battery is very common, although it can be a different type of battery as well. And a very simple, straightforward sort of procedure. So, if you have any questions on the Larco 233804 receiver or any other Larco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you very much. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.